The first car didn't stop, neither did the second. The third slowed, but only enough for the driver to lean out the window and yell something about hitchhikers ending up in ditches. Then he laughed and peeled off, spraying gravel at my legs. I didn't move. I didn't flip him off either. That would have meant I cared. The rain had gone from gentle mist to needling sideways drizzle. My sweatshirt was soaked through, and my boots squelched every time I shifted weight from one foot to the other. I hugged my bag tighter, blinking against the wind. Everything I owned was inside it, everything I hadn't burned.
Before we continue, drop a comment below.
How old are you? And how old is your daughter? I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I wasn't going back. The sound of tires came again, slow this time, steady, like whoever it was had already made up their mind. The truck was old, red, rust eating the edges of the hood. It pulled to the shoulder 20 feet ahead of me. The brake lights glowed like two faint eyes in the fog. I hesitated. Then the passenger window rolled down with a slow, strained whine.
You got somewhere you need to be?
The voice was gravel, low, no rush. I stepped closer, just enough to see him. The driver was a man, older, maybe late 50s, early 60s, hard lines in his face, close-cropped gray hair, a faded denim shirt with the sleeves rolled. There was a scar slicing through his right eyebrow. He didn't smile, but he didn't look away.
I could use a ride.
I said. He nodded once.
Get in.
I climbed in, slammed the door shut behind me, and sat rigid, clutching my bag like a lifeline. He shifted the truck into drive. We rode in silence for at least 10 minutes. He didn't ask where I was headed. I didn't ask where he was going. That seemed to be the unspoken agreement. No questions, no lies. Finally, I said, "Thanks." He gave a small nod.
You running from something?
I turned to him slowly.
You breaking your no questions rule already?
Wasn't a question.
He muttered.
More like a fact.
I didn't answer. The truth stuck in my throat like rusted nails. Instead, I turned and watched the blur of trees through the window. They bent in the wind, like they were trying to run too.
You hungry?
He asked after a while. I hesitated.
A little.
There's a gas station a few miles up. Got coffee and heat. You look like you could use both.
I gave a short laugh, more breath than sound.
You always pick up wet girls off the road?
He glanced at me. No.
Then why stop?
You looked like you weren't going to last much longer.
I was doing fine.
You weren't.
The gas station was small, one flickering fluorescent bulb above the entrance, a single pump, and a rack of firewood stacked by the ice machine. He handed me a $10 bill.
Get something hot. I'll wait.
I stared at it.
I'm not.
I didn't ask for anything back.
Inside, I bought the cheapest coffee I could find, a stale sandwich wrapped in cling film, and used the bathroom to wipe the dirt off my face with rough paper towels. When I got back, he was still there.
You have a name?
I asked, sliding into the seat again.
Jack.
Claire.
We shook hands. His palm was calloused, his grip firm but brief. He started the truck again, pulled back onto the road. The heater hummed. The silence grew comfortable. Eventually I said,
I don't need saving, you know.
Didn't say you did.
I just need space, time, you know?
He nodded once.
We all do.
We drove until the sun sank behind the hills. He didn't ask for directions. I didn't offer any. The road curved like it had nowhere better to be. That night, we parked at a truck stop. He handed me a blanket from the back.
You take the cab. I'll sleep outside.
I stared at him. Why? He shrugged.
Seems fair.
You don't have to.
He cut me off.
You don't trust easy. I get that. So take the space. And the blanket.
I nodded, took both, watched him settle onto the truck bed, arms crossed behind his head, staring up at the sky. Before I fell asleep, I whispered,
Thanks, Jack.
He didn't answer, but he didn't leave either. And that was the first night I didn't dream of my old life dragging me back. The morning smelled like oil and pine needles and something faintly sweet. Probably the gas station's ancient donut case heating up for the early truckers. I pushed the door open slowly and stepped out of the truck. Jack was already awake, sitting on the tailgate, sipping something from a metal thermos. He nodded like he'd expected me right then. Not sooner, not later.
Sleep okay?
He asked. I nodded.
Better than most nights.
He handed me the thermos. I took it. Black coffee, hot and sharp and bitter. Exactly what I needed. We didn't speak again until we were 10 miles down the highway.
Where you headed?
He finally asked.
Anywhere with Sky.
He grunted.
Good choice.
What about you?
He thought for a beat.
Montana. Maybe. Used to know someone up that way.
I didn't ask who. He didn't offer. That was the day we made the deal, without shaking on it, without even looking at each other. You don't ask, I don't ask. It hung in the air like dust, always there, even if you didn't see it. We stopped again that evening, another small-town diner with a sign that buzzed like it wanted to die. Inside, the waitress barely looked up when we walked in. Jack ordered stew. I picked at fries.
You always this quiet?
I asked. He shrugged.
Used to talk more.
What changed?
Didn't help.
I looked at him.
You been on the road long?
Since February.
I blinked.
It's June.
Mm-hmm.
I poked at my food.
You running too?
He didn't answer, which I guess was the answer. That night we pulled into a field behind an abandoned church. The grass was tall, soft underfoot, and the stars looked like they'd been painted on. I sat on the hood of the truck. He sat beside me, hands on his knees. I used to think the sky meant freedom, I said.
What does it mean now?
I thought about it. Wait? He nodded.
Some things don't change even when you leave.
I glanced at him. Is that why you don't ask questions?
No, he said. That's why I don't answer them.
We were quiet for a long time. Then I said, I'm not who you think I am. He looked at me, the faintest crease in his brow.
I don't think you're anyone. Not yet.
Good, I whispered. Because I'm trying not to be her anymore. He didn't flinch, didn't produce, just said,
Then don't be.
That night I didn't sleep in the cab. I lay on the truck bed with him under the stars, separated by a backpack and a rolled-up jacket. We didn't touch, but I felt safer than I had in months. Because finally, someone wasn't trying to figure me out. He was just staying, and sometimes that's all you need. The third morning was colder, the kind of cold that creeps into your bones before you realize you're shivering. I sat up in the truck bed, pulled the blanket tighter around me, and watched my breath curl in the air. Jack was already up again, of course, boiling water on his tiny camp stove like he'd done it 100 times before. He handed me a chipped enamel mug, then climbed up beside me without a word. We sipped in silence. Then, without looking at me, he said,
I spent 17 years in prison.
I didn't flinch. I didn't say anything either. I just waited. He took a breath.
I killed a man.
Another pause.
He hurt my daughter. Cops couldn't prove it. No charges. He walked. I didn't.
I stared ahead at the frost starting to form on the truck's windshield.
I stabbed him. Twice. Right in the chest. Sat on the porch until they came.
Still, I didn't speak. Not yet.
I didn't plan to tell you, he said. But I figured, if we're going to drive another 100 miles together, you deserve to know.
Finally, I turned to him. Did he have it coming? His jaw flexed.
Yeah.
I nodded. Then I don't care. He looked at me. Really looked, searching, measuring.
You're not surprised.
He said, No,
Most people are.
I'm not most people. He gave a short laugh.
I'm starting to believe that.
I drained my coffee, set the mug down. Then I said it. I set fire to my stepdad's car. Jack didn't blink. It was empty, I said. But I meant for him to see it, me holding the match. I wanted him to feel a little bit of the fear he'd fed me for years. He nodded slowly. I ran before the cops showed. I don't know if he pressed charges, don't care. He was quiet for a moment, then said,
You ever hurt someone just to feel free?
I think I hurt myself more, but yeah. He stared out at the horizon. The road was empty. The world was too. We sat there for what felt like hours. Long after the coffee went cold, long after the sun finished rising. Finally, I whispered, I don't think I'm a good person,
Neither do I,
he said.
but I think you're real.
That night, we parked behind a truck wash on the edge of a dying town. I couldn't sleep. I climbed out of the cab and walked toward the field behind the fence. Jack followed, a few paces behind, like he didn't want to spook me. I keep having dreams, I said, eyes on the ground.
About the fire?
Number about the day after, when it was quiet, when no one came to scream at me or touch me or lock me in the closet. Just quiet. I felt him stop walking. Then, after a beat, his voice.
And it scared you?
Yeah. I turned to him. Is that messed up?
No,
He said.
it's human.
I took a shaky breath. Do you ever regret it?
Every day, and not once.
I smiled bitterly. That makes no sense.
It does, if you've lived it.
We stood there a little longer. Then I reached out, took his hand. Rough, big, warm. He squeezed just once. And I knew we'd both done things we couldn't undo. But maybe that didn't mean we couldn't keep driving. We hit the next town just after dusk. One of those places where everything's off the highway by 5 blocks and people still lock their screen doors like it matters. Jack found a cheap motel behind a bait shop, the kind with buzzing neon, and a manager who didn't bother asking for ID. We checked in under fake names. He signed as Martin. I picked Jess. No one asked questions. Not even the guy behind the desk, who looked half asleep with a cigarette dangling from his lips. The room was small, 2 beds with mismatched spreads, and a bathroom that smelled like bleach and rust. I dropped my bag and sat on the edge of the bed farthest from the window. Jack pulled the curtain shut, then sat on his own bed, elbows on his knees, like the weight of the world still lived on his shoulders. And maybe it did. I'm gonna take a shower, I said. He nodded.
Leave the door unlocked, just in case.
I didn't ask in case of what. We'd seen enough, trusted enough. The water was cold at first, then scalding. I stood there until my skin turned red, until I felt scrubbed raw. Like maybe I could peel her off, the girl I'd been. When I came out in a towel, Jack had turned on the tiny motel TV. Static. He turned it off again.
Your turn.
He grabbed his bag and disappeared into the bathroom. I sat cross-legged on my bed, towel drying my hair, heart oddly calm. Like we were finally allowed a pause. Then came the knock. 3 quick taps. I froze. The knock came again, harder. Then a voice.
Sheriff's Department, open up.
My stomach dropped. Jack emerged in seconds, hair wet, shirt halfway on.
Don't answer, he whispered. Back window.
But
Now.
he shoved the bathroom window open, small, rusted, but enough. I scrambled up first, feet slipping on the tile. Jack boosted me from below. I tumbled into the alley behind the building, landing on gravel. Jack followed fast. We ran. Through backlots and over fences, past dumpsters and barking dogs. My lungs burned. My heart punched my ribs. We didn't stop until we hit a cemetery. Black iron gates. Open. We ducked behind a row of headstones and dropped to the ground, panting. What the hell was that? I hissed. He didn't look at me.
Someone tipped them off.
About what?
Me? Or maybe you? Maybe both.
My voice shook. You said you were clean.
I was. I am.
He finally met my eyes. But it doesn't mean they're done with me. The wind cut through the trees like a warning. I curled my knees up to my chest. You think it was my stepdad?
Maybe. Or someone saw us at the gas station. Doesn't matter now.
We sat in silence for a while. The moon was full, casting shadows across names we didn't know. I shouldn't have stayed with you, I whispered. He didn't flinch. I should have kept walking that night, said thank you, and left.
Then why didn't you?
Because I was tired of being alone. Jack leaned his head back against the stone.
You think I'm not, he said. You think I picked this life? You think I want to keep moving every time the past knocks?
I looked at him, saw the crack in his voice, the weight behind his stillness. I thought you could hide from it, I said.
You can't, he replied. You either bury it or it buries you.
I pressed my face to my knees. My eyes stung, but I didn't cry. Not yet. Then he reached over, just a hand to my back, not pulling me closer, just steady. And for the first time in weeks, I let my body lean, just enough. We stayed there until the church bell rang 2 a.m. Then he stood.
We keep driving,
He said.
We find back roads. No cameras, no towns.
I stood with him. And then what? He looked at me.
Then we see if the road is kinder than what we left behind.
We slipped out through the back gate and into the dark. No destination, just distance. And the promise that neither of us would let the other get caught. We drove for hours after that. No music, no words. Just the sound of tires humming against the road and the occasional creak of the truck's old frame shifting beneath us. The sun rose slowly, orange spilling over the hills like paint across a blank canvas. I rested my head against the window and watched the world change colors. Jack's knuckles were white on the wheel. His eyes didn't move from the road. At some point I whispered, "We need food." He blinked like he just remembered I was there, then nodded.
10 more miles. There's a diner off Route 17.
We didn't speak again until we reached it. It was a tiny place, 2 booths, 1 waitress, the kind of spot where the eggs taste like yesterday's bacon and the coffee pot's been brewing since Nixon. We sat across from each other. I ordered pancakes. He got black coffee and a piece of dry toast. He picked at it in silence. "You're still thinking about last night?" I said.
I'm always thinking.
He replied. I stared at him. "What happened with your daughter?" He didn't answer right away. Then,
She's gone. She left the state the week I got out.
"Did she know you were getting out?" He nodded.
Didn't want to see me.
I swallowed. "Because of what you did?"
Number. Because I left her alone with him for too long.
My heart cracked. "You tried to fix it."
Too late, he said simply.
We sat in silence again. The waitress brought our food. I barely touched mine. After a while, he said,
You remind me of her.
That made me pause. "In a good way?" I asked. He looked at me.
In a way that scares me.
I pushed my plate away. "You're not my father, Jack.
I know.
I'm not broken in the same place as she was." He nodded.
But you're still bleeding.
I leaned forward. "So are you." He smiled for the first time all day. Small, sad.
We're not that different, you know.
I reached across the table. He didn't pull back. That night we found a spot by a lake. No campsites. Just woods and water and quiet. He built a fire. I sat beside him, our knees barely touching.
You gonna keep running? He asked.
"I don't know," I said. "Depends on if anyone's still chasing." He nodded slowly.
You ever think about stopping?
"Sometimes, but I don't know where stop is yet." He turned to me.
If I found it, I'd tell you.
"Would you stay?" I asked. He didn't answer, but he didn't look away either. We fell asleep under the stars, the fire burning low, his jacket wrapped around both of us. And for the first time, I didn't feel like a fugitive. I felt like someone who could choose to stay, even if just for the night. The next morning was quiet. Too quiet. I woke up to birdsong and cold air clinging to my skin. Jack was already up, pacing the edge of the lake like he didn't trust the stillness. I watched him from the blanket, arms folded, heart unsure. He turned when he felt my eyes. That sixth sense of his, like he could always read the temperature of a room, even without looking.
Coffee?
He asked. I nodded, please. We sat by the fire pit again, nursing cheap gas station mugs and pretending the world outside the trees didn't exist. Then he said it.
I'm not going any farther.
My chest tightened. What do you mean? He didn't look at me.
There's a place up north. A friend has land. Real remote. He said I could stay there, off-grid. No questions.
You're leaving.
I'm stopping, he corrected. I've been running for too long.
I stared into my cup. And what about me?
You can come, he said quietly. I want you to come.
I swallowed. The wind picked up, scattering ash through the air.
But if you do, he continued, we don't run anymore. No more motels, no more fake names. Just days, one after the other.
I looked at him. Really looked. He wasn't asking for forever. Just a choice. Just the next road. I don't know if I can do that, I whispered.
You don't have to know. Just decide.
I closed my eyes, breathed, thought of all the nights I'd spent alone, all the mornings I woke up scared. And then, all the moments since that truck pulled over on the side of the road. Finally, I opened my eyes.
Okay,
He blinked. Okay? I nodded.
I'll come, for now, for as long as we don't have to look over our shoulders.
He smiled, slow and steady.
That's all I need.
We packed the truck in silence. When we hit the road, the sun was rising behind us, and ahead, nothing but endless trees, gravel dust, and the kind of quiet that felt like peace. Some roads you don't go back from. But sometimes, if you're lucky, you find someone who's willing to walk it with you anyway.